Hi Capricorn, welcome to your mid-April 2020 General Tarot Update. It's raining here. Maybe I should go like this to kind of mix things up. Got swords. Got some. Okay. All right, let's see here. Gosh, it's weird. Okay, it seems like the Ace of Swords is kind of blurry. I don't know if that's just my viewing screen or what. It could be. I don't know, it's weird. It seems like unfocused. We'll see. The heart of the matter is the Page of Swords, and this may be you on high alert in some way. And by the way, I don't know if you can hear this. I'm getting a little bit distracted because there's a really strong wind outside. And it almost sounded like the train because I live by the train, but it's actually the wind. So not much I can do about that. Maybe it's just me that can hear it. But this is a card of somebody who may be really like suspecting something or like checking things out, reading the fine print. We have in the past position the Ace of Swords, and it's almost like coming into some realization about something. And, you know, I like how they depict, they have the clouds, because the clouds can indicate like kind of, you know, murky understanding of something, and then you become clear as to what's going on, and that leads to more investigation. So, for instance, let's say, I'm not saying that this is your situation, but let's say that you suspect that somebody's been cheating on you, your partner, and you find out some evidence that supports that. That would be the Ace of Swords. That kind of like makes you clear that what you had been suspecting was in fact true. And then the Page of Swords is, you know, now you're kind of, your eyes are wide open, and you may be doing your own legwork. It might even be like a private investigator in some cases, or you might be your own private investigator, because I call this a spy card. But like in the workplace, this can translate to somebody who is like finding out that a coworker is making more than they are. And that is a form of clarity. But then the Page of Swords is kind of like, now that you have that information, now you're investigating further. But you're starting off with this awareness of something that maybe you suspected and wasn't sure about, and you found out the truth, and now you're seeking even more truth, because that might just be the tip of the iceberg. And you, in other words, you might say, well, if they're getting paid more money, is it possible that there are other things that are going on that I've been lied to about, and, you know, kind of unraveling that. The higher message is the Queen of Swords, and this is a card about head over heart. So this may be just kind of the last straw for some of you, where you already know that something isn't quite right. And perhaps some Capricorns allowed themselves to allowed a situation to go on far longer than it should have, and you may have been in denial, and now that you have the proof, the undeniable proof, you could be like looking for more proof instead of saying, okay, now I have the proof, I don't need to keep beating a dead horse. I don't like that expression, because I don't want to beat even a horse that's dead, let alone a living one. But you know what I mean, that you are still trying to make a case for something that already has told you the truth about it, shown you the truth. And you have to decide, okay, when am I going to make this decision? The Queen of Swords as the spiritual message is really about your emotions and how they have been distorting things and allowing you to continue. And that's one of the reasons why people are in denial, because their emotions are clouding their judgment. And you know, people tell themselves things with their emotions, the trigger of the emotions. One of the, in personal relationships, it's like, oh, I might not be able to find somebody else, so I might as well just stick with this relationship. If it's a job, you know, same thing. You know, it really isn't any difference in those, even though they're totally different scenarios. And it's interesting because all three of those top level cards are swords, and swords deal with communication, you know, like verbal communication, but also thoughts. So communication that you give to yourself. And the thing about, you know, it's funny, I have the Buddha. Let me see if you can see the Buddha. I have the Buddha here. And in Buddhism, and some of the kind of modern spiritual paths, I would say like Eckhart Tolle is pretty influenced by that. There's this idea of when, you know, either self-inquiry or meditation, where as one of the main goals of meditation being to watch your thoughts, and therefore you're able to put a distance between you and your thoughts. The problem that a lot of people have is that they identify with their thoughts, and they think if they think something, that it's true and that it's part of them, and it's really not. You know, thoughts, like feelings, can come about from conditioning. It doesn't mean that they are legitimate. They may have been true at one time in your life, or you may have invested a lot of energy in you know, making them appear true, but today is a different day. I mean, we're constantly evolving, so it's very important to question those thoughts. And with the Page of Swords, you may be trying to do something in the outer world, to make a case for something or what have you, that is already really being made aware to you, that you don't need to do. And, you know, I understand, because if you, let's say you are in a long-term relationship, it certainly makes sense. It's human to want to kind of like hold on to this idea that maybe you're not seeing things properly, and there's another explanation for whatever it is. But a lot of times it's more the case that you may have to face the uncomfortable truth about whatever is going on in your life. And once you do that, you're able to move on in a much more decisive way. If this is related to your place of employment, even finding out this matter may or may not be enough to push you over the edge, where you feel like, I have to leave, or, you know, it depends on other factors. It depends on how long you've been there, and, you know, if you feel like you're being treated unfairly, that it is completely unfair based upon how long you've been there and what type of work that you do. You know, sometimes it's not as clear-cut as you may think. Oh. What crosses you is the Nine of Wands. This is a card of either some kind of, like being caught by surprise by something, or maybe, like letting down your guard. And so I see these two cards with Page of Swords and the Nine of Wands. It's kind of like, yeah, almost like paranoia or keeping your guard up for some reason, but you may let down your guard. Now, if you've been dealing with a narcissistic person in your personal life, even when you find out that they have been doing something that is not right, it doesn't mean that you're going to, and even if you, like, let's say you decide I'm out of here, it doesn't mean that that person is going to just accept it or admit to what they've done. So you have to realize this, and sometimes it's very difficult because you may want to believe that they are above board, that they're not, it depends on other factors. If you still have feelings for them, even if there is something undeniable that has made you see the light, so to speak, that person, and even if you have left them, because I don't, this may be something where you realize the truth about your relationship and you left, and the Page of Swords can be like you're still very on high alert, but somehow they try to worm their way back in your life. And you have to realize that these types of people will tend to do that. And if you're just so bowled over by, oh my gosh, they came back, it can feel flattering. It can feel like, they can't live without me and all this stuff. And really, it's more mind games. I'm not saying, that it has to be, but that's interesting that I said that. Mind games, because all of those cards, connect to air signs, and air signs are the intellect or the mind. And so, of all the air signs, if I had to make a choice of who this, or guess, it might be like a Libra person, although I could see like a Gemini person doing this as well. Even, who knows, even a wayward Aquarian might have that within themselves. But the point is that you can't let your guard down. I know that sounds kind of like I'm encouraging paranoia, and I'm not. But if somebody has been destructive to your life, you certainly do not want to act like it's no big deal. You want to be proactive and make sure that you're not allowing someone to just continue to play games with you. And Capricorns tend to be very take charge in their professional life, but maybe you're vulnerable in your personal life. If this is a professional issue, it may be with the Nine of Wands that you're not setting boundaries, and that is part of the problem. So for instance, if you have taken on certain work, or what do they call it, like tasks, I can't think of the right word, but in your work life that really are not with your job description, that's on you. And you have to kind of like decide that you're not going to do that. But that's part of, deciding what is your, in your job description and what isn't. And maybe that's one of the reasons why there is a discrepancy in the pay, because you did not, gain clarity when you were, when let's say the boss said to you, okay, you're going to do this, and you're like, wait a second, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing, that's somebody else's job, and then you didn't say anything, you just went along with it, and you found out that somebody else is making more money, but that part of it was that you allowed yourself to take on extra assignments or tasks and didn't speak about extra compensation. Now, if you are taking on extra work and it doesn't require more hours, then that might be a different story. Maybe you're slow in other areas. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if there's added hours. What's coming in is represented by the Wheel of Fortune, which is really great because, it's interesting. This card is connected, sorry, it's just a hiccup. This card is connected to Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your sign, is in Capricorn, and I'm curious if Capricorns have felt that kind of influence of luck from Jupiter being in your sign, or if if you're so like caught up in, Pluto being in Capricorn, that it's just like, it kind of overshadows everything. I don't know. But in any case, this can indicate that you're on, something is looking up for you. And maybe it's a matter of believing in yourself. Maybe you need to start reprogramming your mind. And I'm sure there are plenty of resources on YouTube to do that. Even the law of Abraham Hicks videos, it's not so much, they don't talk about reprogramming the mind. I don't think you would call it that. But anything that gets you to see things from a more positive but a different perspective can be very helpful, because Capricorn people tend to view things as in a very pragmatic way, which is great most of the time. But some of the times when you need that, little bit of positive thinking, because the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, there can be like almost more pessimism than optimism, because when the situation doesn't look good, a person who's a Capricorn is not going to, wear rose-colored glasses. And so being able to see that, as somebody else put it, that I saw a video on, life is working for you, or life is happening for you rather than to you. And that takes out the victim and puts in the potential for anything to happen, in any moment, even when it seems bleak. And that includes attracting, because this is about cycles. So it could be that you're, entering this cycle of abundance and things flowing very easily for you, manifestation. And this card really is supportive of that, the outcome. Ace of Wands, new beginnings, enthusiasm, independence. So you calling the shots, you doing your own thing, and starting some new thing, like a new business, a new relationship that is very passionate. And, I think too, like I said about mind games, it could be that you were with somebody and neither one of you was really trusting the other. And so it didn't go anywhere because of that. And this could be more of something where this person invokes like warm feelings and just more joy and lightness, kind of playfulness, spontaneity, that sort of thing, and less of the kind of mind games that you may have been dealing with. If this is a work situation, you may initiate it. You may create your own business. And I'm not saying that you're going to do this in, the very near future, but working your way towards that kind of goal can solve the problem that you're talking about, that you're feeling right now. If you're feeling kind of uneasy about something and you feel like you have to watch your back, because you caught somebody in a lie, you realize the truth about something, that's no way to live. If we're going to have coworkers, we want to trust them. We want to know that they're on our side. And if we're working someplace and we're not getting paid what we're worth, that's disrespectful. And so all of these things have to be looked at. It may not be intolerable, and you might decide that you're going to stick around for a while, but it can be more doable if you have a project that is really lighting your fire and making you feel hopeful about life. That can go a long way in making the rest of your life palatable in the meantime. So in any case, Capricorn, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated in some way. If you'd like a private reading, particularly astrology, as most of my readings are astrology based, please check me out at rainamoonastrology.com. The link is below. Take care. Bye.